Welcome, brothers. Welcome, sisters. Welcome to our program On Target. And as usual, anytime we start this program, you could pick up the telephone and give us a call. We never have a subject matter. We speak about anything. Politics, religion, socioeconomic issues. But most important, you can interrupt us at any time, change the subject matter, and introduce what you want to speak about. You could even make suggestions to us about topic we speak about. We try to stick with the truth on our program. And if you listen to us and you don't agree with what we say, you believe it is not the truth, challenge us. We express our opinion on any issue, particularly politics. We kind of like the politics too. You know, we don't like to go after individual politicians because all Grenadians generally good and they have good intention. But we concentrate on the policy of politicians, the policy of political parties and government. Today, Catholics all over the world remember is a memorial of St. Maria Goretti. And if you go to any Catholic church, any part of the world today, they would have the same readings. And you might hear about Father Abraham. Father Abraham was the father of the Jews, the father of the Muslims, and the father of the Christians. All they want to kill one another. The Muslims embrace Ishmael, and the Christians Isaac. You know, that is when God asked Abraham to sacrifice his son. Serious issue. Abraham get a donkey, get an ass, get some wood, take his son, and he's ready to sacrifice him. You know, the theologians and other deep people who study scripture perhaps have a task. And the ordinary laity, you either believe or you don't believe. And this is a situation between the gift and the giver. But while all that is going on, we have shell blowing in Grenada, drum beating, and people ready to wine. We have a lot of drinks. The lyrics on the Calypsonian strong. The lyrics on the soca artists is like blues, you know. As if it's thing you want to play after 12 in the night. And our children ready to wine. But we must remember Father Abraham. We must remember the difference between the gift and the giver. And you parents have a responsibility. You have an obligation to pay attention to your children, even at this point in time. You must remember that 70% of the children in Grenada would not meet the minimum requirement. They would go to school for 13 and a half years, and the system would shaft some of them. From the day your child walks into the school for the first time, they would start to profile your children. They say, that can make. They use more sophisticated language today because our educators are intellects. They have a briefcase, a certificate. So the language of yesteryear, they discontinue. But the impact is the same thing. In yesteryear, they say your child dunce. Today, they say they're not academically inclined. So the government initiate policies to move your children and put them in what they call technical schools. And you have to remember the gift. And you have to remember whether you're prepared to make sacrifice as Father Abraham for the children that you have. You could change it, not the government. The government claims they're spending 11% of the GDP on education. And they're doing enough. The educators claim they're doing enough. They say your children head hard like Google Lame, and they're not academically inclined. When our children exit school, they are not competitive on the market. And it saddens my heart because this government is hostile against the marginalized, people in the lower income group, the physically challenged, and the elderly. So it is important that you pay attention to your children and make certain when they exit school that they become competitive on the job market. If they do not have a basic education, how will they be competitive on the market? If they do not have a basic education, it makes it very difficult for them to be competitive on the job market. And that is where you parents must remember Father Abraham. Remember those that make sacrifice of yesteryear and long ago to make life better for you. And irrespective of the drum, and the drum is a dictator, you know, when the drum beats and the shell blow, call out all the revelers. And you have to prepare to determine what would be my position with my children. Am I in a position to prepare my children to be competitive on the job market? And I say yes. It's not difficult. It's not hard. You have to prepare to make the sacrifice. All of us in Grenada are Christians. The rest are Muslim, some Jews. But almost everybody could identify with the Abraham story. If your children exit school and they cannot meet the basic requirement, tell me how they could be good mechanics, or good hairdressers, or good in technical areas, because they don't have the basic requirements. You know, the authorities want to trick you. They've been tricking the marginalized for years and years. And it saddens our heart when our own people tricking us. For 13 and a half years, our children in school. And if you teach them, the majority of them would definitely exit school with the minimum requirement. So maybe the parents have to take the bull by the horn. They say when your hand in the lion mouth, jerk out your tongue. Pay attention to your children. Some of them in secondary school, you have already lost them. Your intervention might only able to salvage a percentage. It's worth it. But those in primary schools, you definitely could change the trajectory and make them succeed. Nothing is wrong with a child coming out to school and have 20 or 25 subjects. Nothing is wrong with that. Good bragging rights. But you must make certain that your children have the basic subjects. You must determine what is the basic subjects that you want your children to have. You must determine that. Maybe you could do research. You could seek information. You could find out what is the basic subject the government need to get you a job in the public service. Government is the best employer, so they have been very liberal with those who go inside. But you could find out what is the basic subjects you need to get a job in the public service? What is the basic subject you need to get a teaching job? What is the basic subject you need to get into university? What is the basic subject you need to go to the St. George's University? Even if you get a job with the public service, could you get go to a university tomorrow based upon the qualification you have? That is what I call the basic subjects. In my opinion, people should concentrate on maths, mathematics. Long ago we say arithmetic, but now they say mathematics. They should concentrate on biology, chemistry and physics, and English language. Computer science is a must because everybody fighting to go digital. And they're fighting to computerize everything. By the time your child is 5 years old, you, the parent, should start a music course for your child. It's not hard. If you can buy an organ or a guitar, you could buy a drum. And if you can buy a drum, teach your child to blow the shell. If your child learns to blow the shell, then the child could blow the trumpet. And you open the door to air instrument. And there is a lot of benefits in music and education. A lot of benefits in music and education. It's not difficult. It's not hard. You don't have to be a university graduate. Or you don't even have to have any academic education to prepare your child for academic education. Simple things you could do. And you could start by the time your child is 5 years old. Don't tell me you don't have money to buy a shell. A shell is about $5. And most of you all man playing job. So read the right attack for them. Say you either get a shell and teach me child to blow the shell. Because you is a job and you could blow shell. Some of the individuals that playing job, you will be amazed how good they could blow the shell. Your daughter that whining like a plane since she is 5 years old, teach her to blow the shell. Teach your children the name of the plants around your home. Almost every Grenadian have flowers. Right now, some planting pumpkin for flowers in the south. Teach them the names of the flowers planted around your home. From the time they have 5 years. We have cardboard all over the place. Encourage your children to cut out peas and write the names of the flowers plant. Imagine you have a 5-year-old that knows the name of 20 flowers plant. If your parents are fishermen or fisher women, right now they're saying fisher folk, teach them the name of 20 fish from the sea. Yes, caller, welcome.
Mr. Pierre, you say every job could blow a shell, Mr. Pierre, that's not true.
The major...
Prime Minister, you say the Prime Minister.
The Prime Minister is a fake. The Prime Minister of the job is a fake. He's a job parasite.
But listen, Mr. Pierre, when I study the thing, he playing with them Coconut Island
and charcoal. Baby Island charcoal he play with.
And when them little girl and them whining and them that play with them whole life. How you call that? How you call that?
Well, you see...
Mix up mood and attitude. Mix up mood and attitude. Mix up mood.
Yeah, the Prime Minister is not a real job. The Prime Minister is going there for photogenic purposes.
He putting on his skin and expect people to feel sorry for him.
And they claim that he is not playing with oil. So that means he must be playing with charcoal and baby oil.
Well, yes.
But
But those are winding up on him. Those are winding up on him and
But
behind him and in front of him.
that's just a little soft wine, man. The Prime Minister can take hard wine. That's soft wine.
Hard. Why not come in a little bottle?
Yeah, you can take that. You don't see, you don't juking, you don't waving, you don't vibrating, you don't twitching a muscle. You can take hard wine. Yeah.
That is why you go in North America and Europe.
Well, it's good because you see, based upon the policy of NDC, the going in North America is very good for them. Because the emphasis is not people in the lower income group.
Exactly.
And some of our people in the diaspora want to be heavyweight.
Well, yes, they want to be heavyweight out of town.
Well, they always out of town, they can be heavyweight on you.
Yeah, because they can't come and talk stupidness to me.
Yeah.
Because me that ain't going to school. Now. They can't talk to me.
But in all fairness, when you are away, you tend to gravitate to anything in the spotlight.
Yeah, because you get it for free.
Yeah, and they have this nice gala, and NDC does not cheap. What they have is not party, it's gala.
Gala,
they go to a party and pay $20 or $40. They go to gala.
And they dress up with them jacket and tie.
Well, yes, it's a good opportunity to be spotted.
But me not wear that. But I colonialism, but me ain't wearing them thing them day.
Don't bother them. All them communists like colonialism. All Grenada communists in America and Canada and England.
They are colonialists.
Only 3 communists you have in Grenada left. All the others in America, Canada and England. None of them are going to Cuba.
You have 3, eh? You mean P and them?
3 communists you have: Chester Humphrey, John Galt, and me. 3 communists in Grenada. All them others gone in America. That's the only 3 communists.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mr. Pierre,
Thank you.
Oh, my father.
Yes. Only 3 communists left in Grenada: Chester Humphrey, John Galt, and me. And we know the world now is not about ideology. It's what is good for your country. What is economically good for your country. That's what counts now. Not about ideology. You know? So it's important. So it's very important that we understand these things. How about individuals who are in United States of America and England and jumping up about communism? Some of them don't even go in Russia if they get a ticket free. After the revolution collapsed in Grenada, all of them run to America. The same CIA country that it was condemning. All of them went to Canada, America, and England. It's only 3 communists that remain in Grenada. So now it is important for us to understand that irrespective of all the excitement in Grenada, mothers in particular, parents, you could do more to make certain your children exit school and they are able to meet the minimum requirement. That's your responsibility. That's not the government responsibility. It's not the responsibility of the educators. They are there to facilitate the process. But you have to make certain that you provide your children with the necessary environment so that they will succeed. This is not about genetics. This is environmental condition. If you create the environment where you, at a very young age, you provide your child with a good vocabulary and good moral upbringing and discipline the child, then your kid will do well in school. Your child will do well in school. That gift God gave you will do well in school. But you must make some sacrifice. It's not hard. It's just part of a culture. You have the time. If your boyfriend or your spouse is a bus conductor a driver, a construction worker. If he hot, he have plenty woman. He's going to know the names of the majority of villages in the parish that you live. He may not be able to spell, but he's going to know the name. And he's going to glad. He's going to be excited to find out for you. Get the names. The mother could always get the correct spelling. Women are generally better on the phones than most men. Most hardworking men. And use the name on cards, on cardboard. Encourage the children to write down the names of the villages in the parish. Just by doing that, with your 5, 6, 7, 8+ year olds, their vocabulary would develop. They would have a better appreciation for the parish because some of the names are very romantic and interesting, and there are historical stories with it. Remember, that's your child. By the time your child is 5 years old, introduce your child to musical instrument. If your kid have a good voice and your child could sing, encourage them to sing. But also there are people who could help to train your children's voice. Give them an opportunity. It saddened my heart when I had a discussion with a sister that walked around with a white cane. The one I asked Comrade Dennis Cornwall to go on research to justify whether he should take her money. She liked to sing. She could sing. She should have been taught to play a musical instrument in school, bearing in mind that she is physically challenged. Yes, caller, welcome.
Afternoon, sir.
Yes, my brother, welcome.
Yeah, I must say how intrigued I am in hearing you repeat this thing. Teach your children to play music. You know, it's amazing because a lot of us don't understand that. Now, I'll tell you what, one of my sons, I sent him to do music, okay? And he started calling, he didn't want to go. So I used the rod on him. And people in the neighborhood said, if the child don't want to go, don't force him to go. If you don't want to go play music, don't force him. And my answer was, he have no say in this matter. He has no say in this matter. This is his education, and he has no say in that matter. He's very proud of himself now as a musician. His children are playing music right now, and they are glad. He is glad to see, to listen, and to admire his children playing music. This makes me feel fat. Every time I hear you mention that, I get another 2 pounds on. Yes? And so it's a very good thing that people don't take it lightly. One of my sons, living in Canada now, I introduced him to the trumpet. No, the saxophone. And let me say, his brother had one, and he was hiding it from him because he was better than him, hiding it from him. And then I said, okay. So I got a trumpet for him, and almost immediately he started playing the trumpet. Said the trumpet is just a big flute. He said that's just a big flute. I can play that. He's in Canada. He plays music almost everywhere he goes, feeling very proud of himself. And I am very proud of him too. I'm saying, Mr. Pierre, your incitement here is very good. And I think people should really take it to mean what you are saying. Thank you.
Yes, scholar, thank you very much. Sometimes we have to scream for our own selves. If you don't believe what you're saying, go in the mirror, watch the mirror, and then you're going to see if you're blinking when you're talking, and you're going to know you're lying. The reality is we are a small country with not much resources except human resource. And we're supposed to try to make super individuals in a practical context. I am so disappointed with the University of the West Indies. The university have done wonderful and great things for the Caribbean in internationalizing the Caribbean, in making the Caribbean recognized. Because the university, I think, fall within the top 10% universities in the world. But they have not helped the Caribbean achieve their dreams and aspirations. Some of our intellectuals are the biggest cause in this country. They're selfish, they're greedy, and they're hostile against people in the lower income group. For over 200 years, we know the value of music in education. Over 200 years. Look at what music has done to Jamaica. But yet, Jamaica has not embraced music in schools. Look at what music has done to Trinidad. But yet, music has not been embraced in schools. Some of our artists in Grenada have done well through calypso and music. Sometimes as soon as they make their first tune, they turn Jamaican. And they are not helping the community. They will push the child or the children, but not even the neighbor's child. You don't have to believe me. I don't want you to readily believe me when I speak. I want us to do a little research. Observe all the big artists in our country. Sometimes they help their children, but not even the neighbor's children. And if they form a little group, they want to tell the whole world. And 2 years after, you hear nothing about the group. They have not been helping. Even those that are teaching in school, they're just as bad-minded. If we want to change this country and change it fast, we must pay attention to the people in the lower income group. The people who are exiting school, we're not giving them a chance on the job market. The job market become more sophisticated. In yesteryear, we need some big, strong man that could cut wood not. They didn't have to have education. They didn't even have to be able to sign their name. In today's society, you need a more academically inclined, sophisticated individual who is computer literate. And our schools are not producing that. Our schools are abandoning groups. So in yesteryear, we had cultural club and sports group and hiking group. That is no more. And the school is telling us our children can learn. You're going to have more violence in the country. Every time you hear somebody chop up somebody and they ram some planners on somebody, you're jumping up. That is what we're producing. We're falling back in cricket. We're falling back in football, volleyball, table tennis. Because our educators is preoccupied with money and themselves. They're not helping. 70% of our children is not doing well in school. And our educators don't even shedding a tear. They're rejoicing. Listen to the Minister of Agriculture. Lunatics and idiots. Lunatics and idiots. You just have to listen to our society. So we're going to create anger, vexation. When individuals realize the jobs are there, but I don't have the ability to take it. It's difficult for me to be educated. You have education and re-education and continuous education. We are saying now that we must send our children in technical schools. We have said it so much that people start to believe that. Well, if you go into a technical school to be a mechanic, but you don't know physics, you don't know maths, and you're not computer literate, well, better you go and sell roti. You can't be no mechanic. If you want to be a hairdresser, but you don't know biology, you don't know chemistry, you don't know maths, but when you're mixing this kind of glue on them to stick hair on head, a lot of head goes spoil. And remember, you have to be able to pay the government tax. So the little business you're doing, although you went to a secondary school, you cannot even work out the government tax. We're tricking with people. That is why I don't believe in reparation, you know. I believe we are tricking us. We have to stop. And parents, don't trick your children. And I agree with the caller. You that responsible for child education. When a child born, the child don't know what milk they need. You have to determine what is the best milk that you could provide for your child based upon the economic realities. Based upon the economic realities. You have to determine that your child needs to bathe twice a day or once a day. You have to determine that you need to go to church with your child and bless your child. Your child can determine whether they're going to church or not. You are the one that determine my child need an education. The child are not saying that. As the child get older and you start to teach them to be responsible and disciplined, you give them more opportunity to make decision while you have veto power. So if you dress your little 14, 15-year-old daughter and she forgot half she clothes home and she whining like plane and she drinking alcohol and she showing the tattoo below she neighbor. But when you come back, you mightn't see the tattoo below she neighbor. She might lose the tattoo. We have to be responsible as a people. And don't let us be tricked in giving up our rights and our authority over God's gift. We, the parents, have to take it. The government won't help you. The policy of the government is not in your interest. It is counterproductive to the people in the lower income group. The people who are exit school and are able to get higher learning and they're able to get the best jobs in the country, they're going to like the government. The government is good for them. But you who fall in the lower income group, you the marginalized, you the physically challenged, and the elderly, Somebody have to speak up for you. The great United States of America, about 11% of the population lives in poverty. Ask the people on the diaspora. The same people in the diaspora, not the same, not all of them, some of them, that advocating our social safety net program here is making people dependent. Ask them about poverty in the United States. Or Google, take your phone, Google poverty in the United States of America. We could change things around. And you could give me a call. Not because I ain't speaking about direct politics. It is still policies. And that could change. We could make a difference. After this carnival season, I think it's Black Wizard that have a tune. When the carnival over, look at the trend. When the carnival over, our sons and daughters are playing jab with oil, spent fluid. Now don't believe me. Ask medical doctors, ask nurses, ask people who are in pharmacology, the dispensers in the pharmacy. Ask them if they would play carnival with oil on their body. Ask them. Ask some of the ministers and watch them in the eye when you're asking them. Ask Dick Mitchell why he's not playing jab with oil on him. And watch him in the eye. And anything they tell you, believe it. Don't bother to believe me. I just running my mouth on radio to provoke discussion. In the next 15, 20, 30 years, there is a possibility, because of the liberal use of oil on the biggest organ in the body, we're likely to have a lot of skin-related disease. The last time somebody tell me the biggest organ in the body is the skin, they say that the biggest organ in the body. But if you're painting oil on that organ with such regularity, the body would not have time to recover. The body is a good organ. It could recover from a lot of poisons. But it needs time. But if there is no call, if no one calls and encourage the revelers to discontinue the practice and use food-grade substance or some other substance that is not likely to have negative medical consequences, then we will be destroying our own self. If no one reminds you that there is a 70% chance that your child exits school and fail to get the minimum requirement, then you may think school is only about graduation. When you dress up with the red, your man dress up with the white, and everybody go in the ball, and they're happy. And then your child can't get a job. And the government refuse to give them work on the road. And the government want to shut down the money program. And the government do not have any plan. After 1 year, the government have not thought about any plan to create employment in our country. Yes, scholar, welcome.
Yeah, Mr. Pierre, good day.
Yes, scholar.
Mr. What if you could cause schools have these late stream right now? It should be 16 and not in my time it should be 60 children per class, 60 and 60 children per class. But now I understand you reach now for about 14, I think 14 per class. Why would you cause this decline? And
Well,
I think drastic decline too. They already the state now, you understand, the government want to get rid of, you see the school and overstaffed to come September, they will be taking out some staff because it seems that. And I also very clear for taking out staff because it's a class of 14 children. Well, it means too much teacher to teach them children them.
over the years, we have increased the amount of secondary schools that we have. We have made more schools. When I used to go to school, there was 109 children in my class. And we had a teacher with a piece of strap resting on his shoulder. 109 children in the class with one teacher with a nice piece of leather belt. And he used it liberally. And he damn right, 109 children, one teacher, you must have a helper. But today, you have a lot of primary schools. You have a lot of secondary schools. And Grenada has not increased the population. So our population has remained practically stagnant. It has not increased in any significant way. When the devil was a little boy, you hear Grenada have 100,000 people. Now the devil appeared, they say Grenada have 110,000 people. So we have not increased in any significant way. But we have increased the number of teachers. And over the years, last 10, 15 years, government introduced the Imani program. So children or young people who wanted jobs and they claimed they want to be a teacher and they had some of the basic qualification, they were placed in school. So a primary school today have a principal, they have a deputy principal, they have a secretary. They have somebody for when hormones jumping up in children's body and they don't know what to do with it. I think they call them a counselor. They also have cook and they have people to help the cook. And they have cleaner and they have people to help the cleaner. Some of the schools have a groundsman and some of the schools have security guards. So the schools are well staffed. And it's about one teacher to about 15 children now, on the average. 15, 20. And the children have computer. And we don't have any problem, let me say we don't have much problem as yesteryear with electricity, telephone, water. Well, internet is a new thing. But these schools have internet, they have access to internet. So if you have one teacher to about 15 children, it means a lot of personal attention could be given to the children. But over the years, we have grown and we become very selfish people. And based upon the new policies of the government, and it was there long, he Kushumain, he bought it. But now he come to Chushan. Based upon the policies, they believe that if they don't get paid, they will get corrupt. If they don't get enough pay. The government had not stated how much is enough. So enough seems to be a personal issue. So although we have the teachers, they seem more and more dissatisfied with their pay and working condition. And they turn on the children. They believe that these children they're giving trouble, they're not academically inclined, it's the parents' problem, and the children are not getting the lessons that they should be getting. Ultimately, the country will be worse off. Look at Jamaica and Trinidad and other countries in the Caribbean, the level of violence. You don't have to go far. Go in the mental institute and see how much of the young men there. And by the time we finish, well, the government changed their mind on legalizing weed. They say they will legalize it, but they trick them Rasta again. So by the time they finish with weed, go in the rum shop, go in the mental institute. All the prisons in the Caribbean are overpopulated. And the majority of people in prison did not have a good education. The majority of people looking for a job do not have the skills or the talents for the job that is available. Yes, caller, welcome.
So they're not going to legalize the weed no more?
You look at the government change their mind.
Too bad.
After they jump up and say they're legalizing it, they change their mind. Yes, caller? Yes, the government will change their mind. Caller, the government jump up, the law that like weed, he jump up. Instead of discussing the issue when the bill was placed in Parliament and determine what degree or what level, they say they're legalizing it. They have Rasta go and have exhibition with weed. Police are going to take the weed from the Rasta and say the government don't legalizing no weed. You get tricked again. Just as how Morris Bishop tricked them when he come to the village, the comforter told them they could plant weed. And Fargo take 2 years jail because he go to the police and tell the police the TV weed. Police and behave himself. Chastise the police bring him in front of the magistrate give him 2 years in jail. And then they jail the man with the Red Rover. And they jail among the people. And then they collect the Rastas, over 300 of them, and bring them in Hopeville. Rasta says the Cowpen, but we say it's Hopeville. And that is his story. And the question is, why is it that our people continue to trick and deceive our people? We must have some discussion on that. And if you have your children and you have the opportunity to make some sacrifice, and sacrifice is love. That is what Abraham intended to do. Sacrifice, that is love. But you refuse to sacrifice to make certain your children go to school and have a good education. You dress them without clothes, they're using one among the obscenities, they're whining like plane, they have tattoo below the navel. You don't say nothing. But you refuse to do what is necessary to give them the competitive edge. After the carnival, everybody's cell phone out, and that which they record would be prominent in social media. So when your child reach 40 years and they marry the governor, well, the governor might embarrass as how Mandela the embarrassed and get rid of Winnie. It's not a question whether you're right or wrong. You know. South Africans don't agree with him for that. But Mandela said he was embarrassed to get rid of her. Now, we have to be cognizant of that. If your child exits school and your child do not have a good basic education, it is not likely they'll be competitive in the market, irrespective of what job they're doing. Whether it is hairdressing, whether it is construction, whether it is mechanic. So it is important that you ensure your child have mathematics, physics, chemistry, biology, French and Spanish. Don't bother about history. They're lying too much in history. Teach your children your history, the village history. They're lying on the history in school. Everybody teaching about POB and all kind of psychology and management and business. They can't run even because shop. No bother with that. Let the children exit school at 16, 17 years with a basic education. Anywhere they go, it will be easier for them to be trained and educated, and they'll be more competitive on the job market. Don't let them trick you. I'm telling you about technical school. They want to sidetrack you. They ain't sending their children there, but they want to send yours there. They're bad-minded. But you must teach your child music. Since your child are 1 year and they hear the drum, they're whining. If they could whine, they could understand. Teach them music. You have a phone. The phone is like a library. The phone is a university. Google 5-year-old children playing the guitar or 8-year children singing. Encourage your children to go to church. It's not whether you're going hell or heaven. You might still end up in hell. Sometimes you end up in heaven. You never could tell. But at least the child might learn something there of morality. So they mightn't display the tattoo below the navel so early. Teach them. The boy might learn inside there he should have one wife. Unless he's a Muslim, and Muslims say you could have 5 wives. And Muslims say you could beat them slightly. They say admonish, deny your bedroom, or beat her slightly. Well, if you want, that is all right. But at least bring them to the church. Encourage your young men to be responsible. They're going to learn some discipline. If we continue like that, they say what you sow is that you reap. So we have to do more. And don't expect the government to take the initiative. Right now, the government is kind of greedy and they're taking pictures. And they're hostile towards people in the lower income group. Here, I call on the sister, I don't know who is responsible for the seed program or social welfare now, to go in Bamboo. Go up in Bamboo. And look at the man there, the one that don't have toilet. And he are running water. And find out if it is justified to take him out on the program. I call him Comrade Dennis Cornwall. Come in St. Patrick's. I can't call on the next brother. He talk about good people. So he may not include the sister with the white cane as a good person. Well, the sister from Union, she says it seems as though things working out. But there are others in the community. We can't walk away from the elderly, the physically challenged, disadvantaged children, and those who are exiting school, and 70% of them cannot meet the minimum requirement. You cannot be proud as an educator if 70% of the people you teach is not succeeding. Can't be proud. You ought not to. And this is not about white people and Chinese people and Indian people. It's about Grenadians, that deceiving Grenadians, tricking Grenadians, and telling lies to Grenadians. And I don't want you to believe what I say readily. Do little research. You're not researching to write paper. You're not researching to present a thesis. You're researching to see if there is some level of truth in what I say, and you have the courage of your conviction. We could do better in this country, and we should do better. Some of the children in secondary school, you could only salvage. Your intervention might salvage 1 or 2. the die cast for them. But the children in primary school, your intervention could help them significantly. And the children about 5, 6 years old, you could definitely help them. Woman says she can't make blood out of stone. If you're a Christian, yes, you could make blood out of stone. You have to do more to help your children. Yes, caller, welcome. I've been waiting for you a long time. We lost that caller. All right, caller, you could call back. We have a few seconds before we close, so you could call back. It's important. You know, this is also politics, but it's not politics targeting. Yes, caller, welcome. All right, we lost him again. It is not, we have to discuss this issue. Discuss it in your homes. Sit down with your spouse or your wife or your girlfriend in your home and discuss what can we do to improve our child's education. If you're a carpenter, teach your child to measure length by breadth. Calculate how much galvanized you have to put on the house. How much tiles you have to buy to put in practice. Get a tape for him or her. You could measure how much water that's going in bucket. Because it's measurement. Ask the teacher for the formula. So you don't have to be bright as a man. Because most of them men, when they leave school, they don't read in a newspaper. But at least you could do these things. You're a fisherman. You know the name of 20 fish. Use a jab. You could blow shell. Get a shell. Teach you 5-year-old. All the children that in front of the stage, whining for the jab music. Nothing wrong with that. Commercialize the wine. Teach them some skills. Teach them music so they may be able to make money. The children that are blind, teach them to play music. You might end up with a Stevie Wonder. Why is it we are purposely tricking our own people? I think that is what is important for us to discuss. We have the say. We could make a difference. If you don't help the neighbor's child, remember, the neighbor's child might impregnate your daughter, or your son might end up with the neighbor's child. And you might have the most troublesome grandchild in the community. And you would have contributed significantly to that. If you eat in your barbecue meat, the meat that they like to buy there, and the neighbor have nothing, the smell, they say the worst thing for a poor man is to live next a rich man. We're going to talk about that another time. Why is it the worst thing for a poor man to do is to live near a rich man? And thank you very much. We back with you again next week for another program of On Target. And most likely, I think I'll join Master Carl on the extension tomorrow. Thank you.